Hello, and welcome to First in Alaska's volunteer orientation for the 2019 Into Orbit Invitational Championship. My name is Becca Souza. I am a Talent Development Manager at the Juneau Economic Development Council, and I'm lucky enough to get to coordinate the First in Alaska program and to put together the tournament that's coming up on Saturday. During the orientation, I'm going to give you just a brief background on the First in Alaska program, a little description of what to expect at an event, and then some more specific details about this weekend's schedule, the venue at Diamond High School, and your volunteer roles. For those of you that are brand new to First, I want to start you off with just a quick video that talks a little bit about First LEGO League and what we do.
First LEGO League is a fun, exciting, mentor-based experiential STEM program for kids ages 9 to 16. It's an alliance between First, an international organization to inspire young people founded by Dean Kamen, and the LEGO Group. It's one in a progression of 4 First programs designed to foster 21st century life skills and spark kids' interest in science, technology, engineering, and math, so they become innovative problem solvers able to tackle the world's biggest challenges. Each year, First LEGO League teams are presented with a real-world theme, like transportation or waste management. Over a minimum 8-week season, they select and research a problem based on the topic, then devise innovative ways to help solve that problem. Teams also build and program a LEGO Mindstorms robot to solve a series of robot game missions, all while practicing the signature core values, which emphasize good sportsmanship and having fun. If you'd like to get involved with First LEGO League in your area, visit us online.
Right, so as you saw in that video, First is a progression of programs. First LEGO League Junior, First LEGO League, First Tech Challenge, and then First Robotics Challenge. It starts at 6 years old and goes up through high school. And there's tons of connections moving on through high school too, including over $80 million in scholarships that are available just to kids in First to keep building their skills beyond high school. In Alaska, we've got a great connection too with a really strong robotics team at UAA High School, UAA College of Engineering, that was founded by some First alumni. You can see our numbers across the state. Our fastest growing program is First LEGO League Junior. Last year we had 55 teams, but we've already seen that number exceeded this season, and we'll run a continuation of that. It goes all year, so we'll have some more expos in the spring. There will be an expo for the First LEGO League Junior Mission Moon teams at the event on Saturday. We've got a separate volunteer pool for that, but it's great for all of our volunteers to go check it out and support our youngest participants. That'll be in the morning. You'll see it on the map at the end of the day. First LEGO League is our largest program. You're going to see on the map in the next slide. We've got teams that range all the way from Utqiagvik and Point Hope down to Metlakatla in southeast. First Tech Challenge, when you get up through high school, we are still a pretty wide-ranging program, and we've got teams again up in Barrow down to Sitka. And then the First Robotics Competition, which is the flagship program for First. Robots can weigh up to 120 pounds. They play on a field the size of a basketball court with 6 of those robots out there at a time. We've got one team in the state that is hosted at UAA, has always previously been at Diamond High School, but moved over to the UAA College of Engineering this year, and pulls in team members from all across the state. You can see our far reach. Over the last 14 years, we've grown from starting out just in Anchorage and Fairbanks and then spreading to the lower Kuskokwim and Bethel to about 300 teams across the program and across the whole state. We do still have a long way to go. The points on this map are actually a little deceiving in that we haven't even reached half of the schools in the state. And our goal is to be as ubiquitous as basketball. We want to be available to every kid. We want there to be an expectation that whatever school you end up with, your kid will have the opportunity and the choice to be part of a robotics team. So how do we do that? And what makes the program work? They talked about those culminating events, really exciting culminating events, like sports teams, going to that game, going to that tournament is what really brings our kids back and drives the motivation for them to go back and learn more programming skills, to work on their teamwork. We need volunteers to make it happen, and we need a lot of them. Each season, we rely on a network of about 400 event volunteers to provide these events across the state. Volunteers come from all different backgrounds with all different kinds of expertise and interests. The only requirement that you share, that we need you to have, is a passion for inspiring kids. So, what happens at these tournaments and throughout the season that are leading up to the event on Saturday? The first thing to know is that teams have been preparing for months. For First Lego League, our annual challenge is released in late August, and teams have been practicing like sports teams after school, on the weekends. Some of them find time during the school day to prepare a project and a robot for competition. Teams are expected to compete in a qualifier tournament in December. We do all of our qualifiers in December to earn a spot at the championship. This year is a little bit different because we had to cancel so many events for the earthquake. So we do have a couple teams coming in that haven't participated in a competition yet this year. But for the most part, they have been through a qualifier and have earned their spot here. So the teams are working really hard. It's a long season. They've been meeting from September through now, and they are coming to their big state championship. Our goal at this event is to help them celebrate. It's pretty intense. They go through 3 judging sessions. They go through 3 robotics matches. Emotions are very high, and our whole goal as a volunteer team is to make sure the experience is fair, positive, and that we're doing what we can as adults to really bring in the fun, to break up that competitive sort of daunting feeling and remind them that it really is a celebration of everything they've done from the season. Only 2 teams from this event will actually advance on to competitions down south. For 49 of our 51 teams this year, this will be their last event of the season. So it really is meant to be a celebration as much as it is a competition. Each tournament is broken into 2 main halves. The morning focuses on judging sessions, and the afternoon is focused on robot matches. The day ends with a closing ceremony where every single participant gets a high five from every volunteer, and then some teams will be awarded trophies. So just to warn you, you can look at this schedule. It is a long day, almost 12 hours. Sometimes, our goal is to finish loadout by 7 p.m., but sometimes it will go a full 12 hours. So prepare yourselves for 12 hours of fun. General background on what to wear or bring. Just don't stress. All our volunteers should show up by 8 a.m. and stay until 6 p.m. unless you've worked out with our volunteer coordinator, Tammy, that you're in one of those half-day roles. We'll feed you throughout the day. We give you all of the supplies you need, from clipboards to pens to tape if it's something you happen to need. We have all of that. All that we need is for you to show up with a good attitude and ready again for that long day. Apparel, anything is okay with us. First is a really great place to come and pull out if you've got sparkly tights or a pink wig sitting underused in the far corner of your closet. First is a place where that will be appreciated. If dressing up isn't your thing, a t-shirt and jeans is also just fine. The only thing that is definitely required is comfortable shoes. You're going to see the venue later on in a map, and we are big. We're going to spread across all of Diamond High School, and you will get your steps in. So please think less about fashion when it comes to your footwear and more about how comfortable those shoes are going to be. We do try to give a volunteer shirt to everyone. We have to order those well in advance, so sometimes we won't have your size. We have a limited amount, and I apologize if you don't leave with a shirt. We can always order them after the fact for you. So if you come, you're unable to get a shirt at the event, but you really want one to remember your experience, just talk to me and we can order one for you afterwards. There'll also be apparel sales at the event if you want to get one that's printed with all the teams or some other special logos on there. All right, so as I said, the event is broken up into 3 sections. So you're going to come in, doors are open between 7:45, I'm actually going to go back to that slide, 7:45 to 8:15. You come in through Diamond High School, and in G108, we'll have coffee set up. There'll be a table with name tags and volunteer shirts, and it's sort of a self-serve sign-in for volunteers. Hopefully everybody's through the system, and we're going to know that you're checked in because you've grabbed your name tag and your instructions for the day and are ready to go. Our volunteer coordinator, Tammy Hanley, will be there in G108. If you do have questions, don't see your name tag, you can meet up with her and get set with what's needed. Promptly at 8:15, unless you're a volunteer that's been given different directions to go somewhere else. So the judges, we know, are going to go somewhere else. Judges are going to meet in the large, I think it's A4 over to the left when you walk in Diamond High School. And again, you'll see that on the map. But almost all of our general day volunteers are going to come in, go to the right in room G108 and have their volunteer orientation at 8:15. You'll get some of the information that you're getting in this orientation again. And then you're going to break out into specific volunteer role meetings with your lead contact for the day. The morning then is these 3 judging sessions, and you're going to run through that practice matches for the field volunteers. And the practice matches, we score, we cue, everything should be the same, sort of a dry run with a slower pace of what we're going to do in the afternoon. And then you're going to get a lunch break from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. if you are a field volunteer. If you are a judging volunteer, we're going to hopefully ask that you can come in for a later lunch just to make sure that the room doesn't get too crowded. We've only got one classroom set aside for that food. Our judges will eat lunch in their room, and we want to keep the space sort of reasonably filled. So there's time if you were one of those morning volunteers to eat lunch again after the opening ceremonies. The opening ceremonies, we do want everybody in the gym. We want to acknowledge our volunteers in front of everyone. We'll share some other information about the program and really cheer the kids on and build the excitement going into the afternoon. 12 o'clock is also when our live stream starts for anybody that's interested in sharing that link. We're going to get matches started right at 12:30, and then our high energy robot matches run through the afternoon until 4:30 when we have our closing ceremony and high five line. I know that an hour and a half seems like a really long time for a closing ceremony, and it is. We've got about a half an hour in there that we want our teams to see our top 4 robots of the day compete in a playoff round, and we're going to have one of our judging sessions, our project presentation on their Into Orbit theme for this year, present to the whole crowd so that teams can get a sense of what's happening at those highest levels and have a model of what they can work for in subsequent seasons. Our event will end at 6 p.m., but anybody who's got the energy left at the end of the day, loadout takes a lot of hands and is a lot easier if we have people there to just, carry a tote out to the U-Haul that we have, pick up some tape and some trash off the floor. So if you have energy and can stick around and help with that, that would be great. We have a cleanup crew coming in as well. So if you're done at 6 p.m., feel free to head on out and leave with positive, wonderful memories of the day. Note on the judging sessions, I'm going to go back to this one. We are going to run through, each team will have 3 judging sessions. They go right in a row. So they're going to go into their project judging session. It's about the Into Orbit theme, where teams have identified a physical or social problem related to human travel in space. And they've come up with an innovative solution and then shared it with people so that they can get feedback to help develop their idea. For this presentation, they're in the room with judges for 10 minutes. They're allowed a 5-minute formal presentation or skit, and then the judges have 5 minutes to ask them questions and really dive in deeper to what the students were thinking with their work and make sure they have a sense of the work that the students did. They also are asking them some thought-provoking questions to give them things to work on for next time. They're going to go from that. The judges will have 5 minutes to score. The team has 5 minutes to sort of regroup outside the judging room. And then they go into their next room, which is robot design judging. In robot design judging, the teams are going to present their overall strategy and approach to the robot game. They'll talk about their mechanical build of their robot and their programming. Some of our teams will come in with formal presentations, and it's great if they do, but it is not required. So some teams will go into that and just expect to have a conversation with the judges, show them their favorite mission, and be able to talk freely about what they've done through the season. Again, that's 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, it's one of the volunteer jobs to wave to the judges, tell them they're done, open the door. The judges will have 5 minutes to score. The team has 5 minutes to regroup, and then they go into their core values judging session. This tends to be the most fun judging session of the day. The teams go in and are given a quick teamwork challenge. So it can be from building a tower of cards. We've had them build little cantilevers. We've had them do a game of charades based on the theme for that year. Whatever the challenge is, the judges get to spend that time observing how the team interacts when they're given that last minute challenge. So they've got about 5 minutes for that, and then they have about 5 minutes left for Q&A, more about the season, if they had any structure to how they worked as a team and made decisions, how they divvied up roles, and the judges have questions that guide them through that session. Some of the teams, similar to robot design, will come in with a poster and more of a formal presentation, but again, that's not required. Note on these sessions, they are a place where the teams can show that the kids do the work. Our very last slide in this presentation is going to go through the first LEGO League core values and the core values for the first program as a whole. And one of them is that the kids do the work. This isn't a science fair project where a parent can prepare a poster and send the kid out to competition with it. The judges really have a chance in these judging sessions to talk through and make sure that what they're hearing is understood by the kids and was done by the kids. We do allow parents and coaches to go in and watch the project in robot design sessions. We encourage them to videotape so that the team can have a record and reflect on it, and they can work on whatever happened to improve for next year. But those spectators should be passive. They should be sitting in the back. They should not interact with the team at all. And that comes down to running technology. If the team in project presentation is running a slideshow on a laptop or has a projector, the kids are responsible for setting all that up. The parents and the coaches should just be in the back observing. And it's hard. The kids are going to look back and look for affirmation, smile if they know they did something wrong, or, look back to them if they can't remember something and they're hoping their coach can throw them a bone and give them an answer. But as volunteers, we have to remind the coaches that it's totally fine. This is an opportunity for the kids to fail, understand what they've really digested and haven't, and go in and do it differently for next time. The core values is the one session where we don't even allow parents and coaches in as observers. We keep that to just the team. We want to see how they act when there isn't that adult that they know in the room supervising them. And it can be revealing. Most of the time, they do just fine on their own. If you are working in the core values section and you get a parent or coach that is adamant that they want to see how their team performs, you can send that adult either to Elaine Todd, who is the judge advisor, or to me, Rebecca Souza, the tournament director. We can arrange for that team to parent to go in and observe another session so that they understand what it's like, what's going on. But again, don't interfere with the team and hurt their opportunity to be judged fairly throughout the day. So those 3 judging sessions, again, teams are going to come line up. They do all 3 in a row: project, then robot design, and then core values. We do have one set of teams that do an early morning judging session. So they're going to meet at 8:30 with our judges so that we can have a little bit of a norming process so that all of our 7 sets of judges across the tournament can see the same team and have a common talking point to go back to when they're deliberating on who should get awards at the end of the day. For the most part, our general volunteers aren't involved in that. Our 3 teams that are participating are veteran teams and are expected to go show up for judging on their own, and the judges will time that session on their own. So for general volunteers, you don't have to worry much about that, but do know that it happens. So if you get there and the judges have talked about a team they've already seen, or you see an 8:30 start time on the schedule, don't be confused, but you also don't have to worry about it. Okay, so the other part of the day, the main public element to the competition are the robot matches. These take place in the main gym at Diamond. It's called the competition area. And this is where we've got live AV. They're going to do crowd shots. There's play-by-play announcements going on. There's big pomp and circumstance. There's a lot of ceremony to coming up to the table. This is where it gets really exciting. So in the morning, every team will have a practice run to get a sense of what it's like to be on the table down in front of the big bleachers at Diamond High School. They'll get to talk to the refs and make sure, clarify any rules. And then all our volunteers in that area will also get practice queuing them up and making sure that we know how the logistics work for the day, so that in the afternoon, when matches come every 5 minutes, we're a well-oiled machine and can move through it pretty quickly. You see a picture of what the robot matches are like here. There are 2 4-foot by 8-foot tables that are side to side with into orbit mission models. Those models are made out of Legos, and one of those sets was mailed out to every single First Lego League team across the world. So everybody has been practicing on a standard field with a standard set of missions. The ones we have set up at the tournament, there are always slight variations. A mat might be warped, a table might be a little bit crooked. It's written into the rules that the teams have to be ready to deal with that. So sort of like building a rover to explore the surface of Mars, you don't know exactly what it is that you're going into, even if it's pretty well mapped. That's how we work with teams at these competitions. We do our best to stay consistent, though. And with that, we have one of the volunteer positions is field resetting. We have volunteers that are trained to go in and reset all those missions and try to make sure the table is consistent from match to match throughout the day. So the teams come up and they have 2.5 minutes to send their robot out with programs that they've been working on throughout the season to complete missions. You can see that there's 2 team members standing at the corner of each of those 2 mats. So 2 teams are competing at once. They're allowed 2 team members up at what's called base at any one time, but they can swap out. So if you look at that blue team, they've got some other kids lined up behind that yellow tape on the floor. If these 2 at the table wanted to swap out during their 2.5 minutes, they can go back behind the line and another teammate can come up. That corner serves almost like a NASCAR pit where the robot can come back into the area and teams are going to be swapping out attachments. They're hitting buttons to run different programs. Again, that's where it's pretty intense. Kids are kind of shaking and nervous. Our job in the competition area, you can see how many volunteers are around that table, is to, again, make sure that it's fair for the competition. Our referees are all well trained in the rules, but also fun. So we're going to joke with the kids. You want to make them feel comfortable. It's not meant to be a high stress environment, even though the kids take it seriously and feel it. So if you're out there and you see a kid who's had a hard day, they might drop their robot and it shatters to a million pieces. Our job as volunteers is to just support them and help them get through the day. Matches are recorded by the referees. They've got clipboards and score sheets. Then they're going to get passed over to a table where scorekeepers actually run through and do the numerical scores that are projected up. We've got 2 big AV screens down at the end of the gym. Teams single score for the day is what a single top score. So they run 3 matches. Scores are not cumulative. So the top score of the day wins. That means that even if a team totally bombs in their first match and their second match, they should still go into the third match with some hope, and they have a chance to still win the whole event, the robot performance part of the event, if they do well in that third match. As a chance for everybody to see our top robots of the day, we will invite the top 4 ranked teams for a just for fun playoff round at the end of the day. But again, those scores don't count towards awards. It is just for fun and a chance for everybody to see those top 4 robots. Okay, moving on. Let's look at what that looks like in the layout of Diamond High School. This down here is the main entrance and where we expect all of our teams and volunteers to come in and out. Parking, if you've been at Diamond High School, is sort of spread all across back in here. So you're going to come in these doors. There'll be some feather flags out front to help show you where that is. And there's a team registration table right up front. But you'll see a sign that says, "Don't go here if you're a volunteer." We want our volunteers to come in and go to the right down this hallway and go into Volunteer Lounge G108. Again, that is where you will find coffee. So go there first. It's also going to be a safe place for you to leave coats and bags, and kind of set up our volunteer home base for the day. There will be somebody supervising that room throughout the day. So again, it's safe to leave your coats and your bags there. It will be crowded though. We have over 100 volunteers at the event throughout the day. So know that you might not find a chair, you might need to come out in the hallway, but do come in, get some coffee, and make sure that you pick up your name tag and hopefully get a shirt if we can find one in your size. If you are a judge, you can bypass that. We have separate coffee laid out for you. If you go in here, you're going to go to the left and down this hallway, and our judges are in this room, the judge deliberation room. Actually have an updated map that you'll be getting in an email. And this room here will have coffee. It's where you're going to have your lunch. We have 50 volunteers, so about half of our volunteers for the day are judges. It helps split up between these 2 spaces, and it gives you separate time because the training that you'll receive in the morning is a little bit different. This is the same room that your training will be in on Friday night if you are a judge that's listening in. So judge deliberation room is here, back out, volunteer lounge is here. So this is where your meeting at 8:15 will be, and again, where coffee will be out for you by 7:45 a.m. Different parts of the competition. So this is the competition area. This is where the magic, where those fields out are, where the big AV screen, where the music will be. It is pretty loud. The teams are set up in pits throughout the day where they have a table and their home base. Right over here in the small gym is called the Curie Pits. We'll have, I believe the number is actually 35 teams for this year. We'll be set up with tables. It's a great place if you're looking for a team, if you've got questions for them, if you've got a question for a parent, go in here, and based on their pit table number, you should be able to see them lined up 1 to 35 in here, and then our remaining teams will be up on the track above the gym. Those teams, when they come out to queue for their matches, again, we've got 5 minutes per match. It's a really tight schedule in the afternoon. So we have volunteers called queuers who are going to, for the robot matches, help line teams up. The traffic pattern for teams is to come from their pits, which are either here or upstairs on the track, into this back hallway. So from the Curie Pits, they're going to travel through the hallway here. From the track, they're going to come down this stairwell and go through this door and get lined up for their matches in this part of the gym. That means that this back hallway and this part of the gym are crazy. So as a volunteer and as a spectator, you want to stay out, unless your job is queuing or running to get the teams. We ask that this be really for teams only, including this stairwell. And if you're another volunteer and you see parents trying to come back through here, we want to redirect them. And all spectators and other volunteers want to use these main doors from the commons to come in and out of the competition area. So teams load in this way for the matches in the afternoon, and then they'll exit out into the competition area this way and are asked to return to their pits on that more circuitous route of they can go up the stairs here to go to the track or around to enter the gym this way. So that's the competition area and the team home base for the day. In the morning, the teams are going to have a long way to go to queue from their pits all the way out to these classrooms on the other side of Diamond. We are on both the first floor and the second floor, and again, judging happens in little groups of 3 classrooms. We have 7 of those groups set out. We encourage teams to use this stairwell, so walk in the back, use this stairwell to get upstairs if they are in group 1, 2, or 3, and then 4, 5, 6, and 7 are down on the first floor. If you are a judge queuer, a judging assistant, or a judge runner, you'll be assigned to one of those groups, and that team works together to make sure that all the teams get there and go into judging on time. This should be a really quiet area for teams to sort of get themselves together before judging and make sure that the rooms stay nice and quiet for the judges. So if you've got other spectators that are wandering down here or teams that are just kind of hanging out, every once in a while we have a team that wants to play hide and seek in the big high school, you should send them back out and they should really stay in the commons and the pit area for the day. The other place to note is that we do have, like I said, that junior FLL Expo that's happening right here in the Commons. There's kind of a stage in front of where the elevator is, and they'll be lined out in here. It's a great thing to go and visit and see. We'll also have practice tables for the teams. That's not shown on this map, but our plan right now is to put all of our practice tables right up here, and they're going to be managed by a small group of volunteers where teams can come, sign up for a time, and then go out and they'll have 5 minutes to use that table to practice their missions, refine things, and then if there's another team waiting, they'll step away and let another team in. We'll have anywhere from 6 to 8 tables in the morning. We'll add a couple of our judging tables to that in the afternoon. So it is tight with 51 teams, and volunteers help just usher them through. All right. So I talked briefly about the different volunteer roles. I'm going to give you just a quick rundown on the different groupings. Judges is our largest group of volunteers. We've got about 50 of them. They're going to interview teams and then they spend the afternoon deliberating on awards. If you are a judge, you should have received a whole separate training packet, and you do have a training on Friday night. Again, you report to that separate room on the first floor. You go into the left on Saturday morning, and you will be led by Elaine Todd, your judge advisor, and Evan Cotton, who is a judge advisor assistant. And that job is hugely rewarding because of the impact you get to have interviewing those individual teams, giving them feedback, and deciding those awards. Our referees is our next most time-intensive set of volunteers. Those referees wear the black and white striped shirts. They're in the competition area. They observe the robot matches and fill in score sheets. They work with our scorekeepers who take the score sheets, enter the results in a laptop so that they can be displayed for all to see. Cuers are our people that keep the whole event on schedule. So we've got judging cuers that work over in those classroom pods in the morning to make sure teams are getting into their judging sessions on time. And then we have robot match cuers that are getting teams lined up to go out to those competition tables in the gym. Those cuers are supported by runners. The runners are going to get information from the cuers on what team is missing. They'll have a map of where teams are throughout the building, and they're going to, if they need to, go run and find them. They'll most likely be either at their pit or at their practice table. We don't have, again, this is sort of an emergency situation. For the most part, we rely on teams to use the schedule and to show up when they're needed. But we do have a couple of those volunteers who are going to be the most active volunteers at the tournament, running back and forth to find teams that might be missing for an event. Again, we'll have runners with the cuers at the judging area and with the lead cuers at the competition area for the robot matches. We've got field resetters, we've got a practice table team that are monitoring those. We have judging assistants that are going to work with the cuers to time the different judging rooms and make sure that they stay on time. Again, each one of these positions will get a more detailed training starting at 8:15 on Saturday morning at the competition. You can see we've got quite an org chart of volunteers out at the event. This gives you a sense of who you'll be reporting to. I am happy to talk to anybody if anything comes up during the event, especially if you've got something that you really think we could improve on for next year. We know that our volunteers, especially new volunteers, will see things that don't quite make sense and that you think you've got a way to make better. Please send me that feedback. You'll get a feedback survey after the event too. We really love to get advice on how to do things a little bit better. Also, feel free to share that with the lead volunteer in your area. So our head referee is Amanda Hanley. She'll oversee the referees and the field resetters down on the field. She'll work with our head match cuer over here and our field manager. These folks are located out in the competition area in the gym. Our field manager is Cass Rudy, who's coming down from Fairbanks just for this event, and she'll work with Jordan Cooper, our lead match cuer, Robert Jeffries, who's the lead on our production team and our MCs, to make sure that everything stays on time and that things are orderly in that area. For our judging area, we have Elaine Todd, who is our judge advisor, and she'll oversee all 3 categories of judges. We've got a head judge for each one of those areas, and then she's got her own assistant because it's a really big job to get everything done in judging. They'll also have a queuing team led by one of our longest volunteers, Norma Gertzen, who'll make sure that those groups of judge queuers, judging assistants, and judge runners are set up in the morning to support each of those 7 judging pods. Our practice table manager will be Jessie Cooper, a first alum. I mentioned Jordan Cooper, sisters, also first alum. And she'll work with a team to, again, just make sure that everybody's following the core values at the practice tables and getting a fair chance. And then we've also got a group of people that are just in charge of food. We want to make sure that all of our volunteers are well fed throughout the day. And that's going to bring me back to this central role here of our volunteer coordinator, Tammy Hanley. She'll be your person to ask questions throughout the day. If you're unhappy with your role, she can help move things around as possible. She is also just an amazing person who has put a ton of time and energy into this event. I believe she's talked to most of you on the phone already, so thanks to her. And again, she's a hub of volunteer communication for the day. So I hope through all this talking that you guys are very excited to volunteer. If you're not already signed up on our list with a role, please go in. You can do that at jedc.org on our volunteer page. And I hope that excitement can get you all through. We do, for the safety of our participants and for our own records, we require that all of our volunteers are registered. Fortunately, that system is never as easy as we want it to be. We have a great way of getting everybody background checked through Verified Volunteers. It's a national company to do those background checks. The system isn't ideal, and I know a lot of you can go in there and kind of get stuck. So my only request is that you do, I hope that those videos at the beginning and your experience, if you've been to an event or talked to a team, drive home just how exciting these tournaments are and what an amazing impact they can have on the participants. And that this is just part of that. And the good news is once you get signed up, you do your screening, it's good for 4 years, and you can sign up for an event. All of our events, you just have to go in and say assign me as needed, and we can put you in to a position there. We do have some walk-on forms that are available, so if you've got a coworker or a spouse, a family member that you go back to after this meeting and you're like, wow, this sounds amazing. I think you'd really like it and you want them to come along. We do have a walk-on forum for some volunteers that show up on Saturday morning and want to volunteer. And then we'll ask those volunteers to follow up by going through the rest of the system and registering after the event. So we've got a backup, but we really, really ask that if you're signed up ahead of time, that you get signed up in the official system and you go through that background check. For volunteers that are 13 years of age, they also can set up an account in that system, and they can, if they don't have their own email, they can use a parent's email. They don't require a background check. But again, we do want to have them in that system, and that also lets us stay in touch with everybody through the year. Speaking of that, we have ways of communicating with all of you at the event. We have a great texting system called Rained Out. It's designed for events like this and sports events so that we can communicate out things like cancellations, any weird venue changes, or traffic issues that might come up prior to the event. It costs nothing for you to sign up. It's really easy. Basic text messaging fees apply, but we promise not to overload you. It is ad-free, and again, it's a really great way to stay on top of if we have any schedule changes. It's how we'll reach out to everybody at the event if we do happen to have a kid that gets separated from a team or a team that is missing one of their participants. It's a really good way for us to reach out and check for that. We'll report lost and found items so that you can come and retrieve those at our information desk if you need to. And we'll announce when there's things coming up. So when opening ceremonies is starting, when food has arrived, if we run out of coffee, when it's refilled. So I highly encourage everybody to sign up for those text updates. All that you have to do is get into your phone and send the message to number 84483. That's the phone number that's going to go in for the text message. And then the text in the text field, just write out "into orbit." And hit send, and you should get a confirmation from Rained Out that you are signed up to be on our text message list. So please do that prior to the event. If there's anything that happens where we have to cancel or delay the start, that alert will go out by text message to everybody that's signed up. We'll also post it on our Facebook page and on the website, but the most reliable method is to get one of those text updates. The other thing to share is that we have a YouTube channel for First in Alaska, and we will be live streaming the event from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., so just those robot matches in the afternoon. So share that link for the YouTube channel, and maybe someone will catch you on screen. All right, and the final message of the day. This is a ton of information. The event, again, we've got 51 teams. We'll have about 500 kids there, 100 volunteers. It's a big event. Things usually don't go perfectly, but we ask that everybody there keeps the big picture in mind. This program is about inspiring kids. This event is about inspiring kids, and we want every volunteer, every parent, and every team member to be a part of that. The core values behind the program are discovery. We explore new skills and ideas. Innovation. We use creativity and persistence to solve problems. Impact. We apply what we learn to improve our world. Inclusion. We respect each other and embrace our differences. Teamwork, we are stronger when we work together, and fun, we enjoy and celebrate what we do. So we ask that every single person at the event keep these core values in mind with whatever you're doing. And it really leads to, no matter what logistical snags we encounter in the day, a better event overall, and kids leaving like they are valued and excited about the opportunities beyond this event. So thanks again. This has been a lot of talking, and I think I went a little bit over my time limit, but hopefully this gives you a better idea of what to expect on Saturday. If you do have questions that you'd really like answered prior to Saturday's event, don't hesitate to call me. My cell phone number is 917-902-0358. You can reach out to me by email, and the same goes for our volunteer coordinator, Tammy Hanley. Her email is on here as well. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. There'll be more training on Saturday morning. For judges, there'll be some extra training on Friday night. And we just can't wait to see you. Feel free to get others involved too. Send them this little webinar or just send them to the website to look and see. Thanks again. Have a good day and hopefully see you on Saturday.